All right, class. So last week we talked about cards that you should buy before it skyrockets in price, and it was really fun. But then Konami almost immediately announced a new Yu-Gi-Oh set, Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem, which is going to have even more reprints. We're officially in reprint season. And in case you guys didn't know who I am, hi, I'm TheCaliEffect, your professor for today. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a number of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you should seriously look into selling. I don't have a crystal ball, but I spent over 10 years buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and a big reason why I'm even recording in this house that I bought is mainly because of that. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with ya, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. With both sets like Maze of the Masters, which is going to have some key reprints, Battles of Legends, Monsters Mayhem, and the highly anticipated but not yet announced upcoming Mega 10s in 2025, there's going to be a plethora of cards that are going to be reprinted. And one of the biggest things about being able to stay in the game is capitalizing on the resources that you have when they're most important. Of course, big dog, I'll be explaining those techniques as I go, but I know you guys are tired of yapping and you want to hear about the first card. The first card is going to be incredibly obvious, and I actually told you guys to sell this card before. Primary Lordly Load finally has a confirmed reprint. 4 months from now in Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem, Primary Lordly Load will be a confirmed reprinted card. But the big thing that I want to point out is that oftentimes Konami will reprint something in a Battles of Legends set, and then they'll turn around and re-reprint it inside of the Mega 10. So if you think that this card is going to hold any significant value, the chances are almost nil. And the biggest reason why I told you guys to sell your Primary Lordly Loads a little bit earlier is because not only did it reach its highest point, more importantly, this was a card that served as an engine. A lot of times in Yu-Gi-Oh, Konami will use engine cards as their cash cow. Engine cards can be loosely described as cards that can be splashed in a myriad of decks. The Primate Engine is a bit of a sensation because it can be used in old school decks like Blue Eyes and potentially even Dark Magician and Red Eyes to make them incredibly powerful. We know the Blue Eyes thing is 100% confirmed. The other two, Red Eyes and Dark Magician players, do not kill me. Because of this, engine cards can often be used to be able to sell sets, which is also another big reason why I told you guys to sell cards like Cash Tira Fenrir and the Bitsteel monsters in my last video. These cards are some of the most powerful engines in the game, and when Quarter Century Stampede comes around, another reprint set pretty much confirms we're in reprint season, we can pretty much bet our bottom dollar that those cards will be in it. I mean, it's the last competitive Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are ridiculously expensive. Of course, big dog, if these videos have been helping you and something that you can do to get ahead of the curve and also support the channel is that you can consider joining the Patreon. We'll be putting these videos up a little bit earlier, but even if you can't afford, just using my TCG player link down below in the description genuinely helps me every time you make a TCG purchase. Another engine that we previously talked about, and I think the last chance that you're going to have, is Fiendsmith Engraver. Now, Engraver went from a $120 card to a $50 card back to a $100. Newsflash, I'm going to give you guys some quick classwork. When was the perfect time to sell Fiendsmith Engravers? If you guessed when they first came out and during the last spike, then you were correct. Currently, engravers have only been going down in price. They're widely anticipated to be reprinted in Quarter Century Stampede, if not in another set, but almost guaranteed to be in those Mega 10s. Meaning that if you have secret rare copies of Engraver that you don't necessarily need and you're not playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh right now, you should 1000% be looking to sell these cards. Unfortunately, for my super duper competitive Yu-Gi-Oh players, you might just have to hold on to those Fiendsmith Engravers. But to be honest with you, you really don't need them to be at the highest level of competition. I think the strongest version of Ryziel is pure right now, so if you are on the fence and you're wondering and you want to make a quick buck, selling your engravers is not a bad idea. One of the biggest things that I learned about buying and selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or if I am playing Yu-Gi-Oh on a budget, is capitalizing when the iron is hot. Which means oftentimes you're going to hear controversial takes and oftentimes they pay off. Sometimes we get them wrong, but we survive. The biggest controversial take in this video is that I think you should be selling your secret rare copies of both Dominus Purge and Dominus Impulse. Do not get me wrong. Dominus, Purge, and Impulse are probably some of the most insane Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the entire game. Again, if you are playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh for this season, you may be forced to hold on to those until they're not worth anything. For those particular players, I strongly suggest that you sell your secret rare versions and get a QCR copy. The QCR versions of these cards typically never go down in price. And seeing that the Dominus cards are damn near staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you cannot go wrong with the QCRs. It's actually two simple reasons why I think that the Dominus cards are perfect to be able to sell. First of all is that they're in their PPP era. For the guy who laughed when I said PPP, you definitely deserved attention. PPP on this channel stands for peak pricing potential. It's basically when the card is at its most valuable. Currently, the best decks in the game are all trying to figure out how to play Dominus, Purge, and Impulse. They recognize the value of this card. And I'm not saying that it's impossible for those particular cards to go up, but right now the demand for these cards are almost at their highest. It's probably the safest to sell them right now. The next biggest thing that I peeped is that Konami has been really sneaky. Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem confirmed Primite Lordly Load, a card from Rage of the Abyss. This pretty much means that this year, all of the cards from Rage of the Abyss are up for grabs, and I think one of the most important one is Dominus Impulse. And seeing that Impulse is newer than Purge, it would also go to reason that Dominus Purge is up for grabs too. Now, Big Dog, we do know that every year alongside of engine reprints, Konami loves to be able to milk those staples. They will reprint those staple cards sometimes 2 to 3 times a year to be able to milk every single penny out of a particular Yu-Gi-Oh set. This is no different. So yes, while it does seem that there's a pretty decent risk factor here, we don't know the rarity or the accessibility of these cards, we do know that they're pretty much getting reprinted. So selling them while everyone is clamoring over them and no confirmed reprint is probably your best bet. Now, class, for your worksheet today, I want you guys to post down below in the comment section if the TheCaliEffect is off his rocker. And I also want to move this out the way for you to look at the spice. Black History Month may be over, but it's never over for me. I actually been in contact with the people that made this shirt, and we might be collabing on some merch, so be on the lookout on TheCaliEffect.com. We may have some cool merch soon. You remember that Mommy Milker shirt? Well, it's a part of my merch line. I think one thing that people know me for is to make incredibly bold moves and incredibly bold takes. And like I said before, sometimes it can bite me in the butt, but oftentimes we're winners. I mean, I didn't become the man that I am without being able to take a risk, which is another reason why I'm going to take another risk with cards that we should sell, and I think we should be selling our low-end staples. Big dogs, I never, ever tell you guys to sell your staple cards, but this situation is looking real funny. Cards like Triple Tactics Talent and Forbidden Droplet for super rares from their respective rarity collection set are $6 and $12 each. That is completely insane, especially when you factor in that there's ultra rare copies, secret rare copies, platinum secret rare, ultimate rare. There's so many different variations of these cards. I don't think that the price is going to stay for long. I think that Konami will eventually capitalize on these low rarity prints by printing even more low rarity versions of these cards. Soon enough, we'll start to see common versions of Triple Tactics Talents and Forbidden Droplets, which would really drive the price down on these low-end staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Of course, Big Dog, if you are a budget player and you need those low-end staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards, do not sell them. Unfortunately, sometimes it can feel really bad, but you're gonna lose a little bit of money in this process if you wanna play the game and you are on a budget. But if you do have the opportunity to flip some of these really low but expensive budget Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I would seriously consider. Oftentimes in Yu-Gi-Oh, we get a card what I like to call Fool's Gold, a card that goes up in price but is not really worth its merit. In this video, that card is going to be Alistair the Invoker. Now, Alistair the Invoker went up in price because Blue Eyes players have been using it alongside of the Invoked engine to be able to summon powerful monsters like Invoked Mechaba. The Invoked engine also serves as a bonus because it can potentially banish light monsters in your opponent's graveyard, like Blue Eyes pieces in the mirror match, or even Fiendsmith cards if your opponent is playing that particular engine. Now, the reason why I say that this is complete fool's gold is because the Invoked cards have been getting reprinted. In the last Mega 10, we got Invoked Mechaba in its alternate art. And it stands to reason that very soon we'll be getting Alistair the Invoker. I can see it happening in Quarter Century Stampede, but I can also see it happening in Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem. Keep in mind, Alistair the Invoker is part of that Magistasuri, so there's 2 opportunities for the card to be reprinted. Now, the last card I have for a card that you should be selling is just us benefiting from our rewards. Previously, I told you guys to buy this card before it skyrocketed in price, and skyrocket it sure did. The last card is a Reap What You Sow. Black Goat Laughs is a card that's older than every single card that we've talked about on this entire video. The reason why this card is so powerful is because it's amazing against some of the top strategies in the game. Declaring monsters like Ryziel Detonator, Crimson Dragon, Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon means that they won't be able to activate those monster effects on the field. And it can really put a lot of players in a terrible spot when you use this card at the correct time. That has made Black Goat Laugh almost double up in price, but now it's hit that peak pricing potential that we've talked about. Not only do I not see Black Goat Laugh going any higher at this point in time, I think that it's best to sell it because it is the oldest card that we have on this video, or at least the oldest printed card. The Black Goat Laughs has never seen a reprint in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, and I think it's almost bound to have one very soon. But class, that is all that we have for the cards that you should be selling. I really hope you enjoyed this Yu-Gi-Oh economics. Yu-Gi-Oh economics. Yu-Gi-Oh economical Yu-Gi-Oh. Of course, you're not done with Duel School. You still have some other videos to watch, so be sure to check out one of these so I can catch you on the next one. Oh, and turn in your assignments. They're due today, like now.